I might have to have our Filipino friends among us to verify this story. I was told it in Philippines. I'm not sure if it's true. I have a bit of an inkling that it is true. But it was about this particular person who got up. I think it was a woman, actually. This woman, we'll blame the women, we'll blame the men as well. We just say it's a person that got up. And anyway, it was their first time to do the reading for the Mass. It was similar to the readings we've heard today. So this person gets up and they're a bit nervous, but anyway, they get through the reading quite nicely, very articulate and pronouncing the words, and it's very good to hear. Then she got a bit nervous at the end of it. So towards the end of the word, she says, "My brothers and sisters, this is the end of the world." And then I can hear some Filipinos laughing. It must be right true. And then she goes, "Oh, sorry. This is the word of the Lord." And everyone says, "Thanks be to God." But you know what? I don't know what they said. Was it "Thanks be to God that the end of the world is near," or "Thanks be to God that it's the word of the Lord"? But my friends, today this is the word of the Lord. It's all about the end of the world, isn't it? Today, the word of the Lord is about the end of the world. So get your mind around that one. It's a bit wacky language. I mean, here we got stars, falling from the heavens. You got the sun darkening and the moon losing its brightness, and all these things that are happening. The powers of heaven are shaken, and some of us experience that already. Perhaps we've seen solar eclipses, lunar eclipses. We've seen falling stars in the skies. We know what it's like to be shaken around with the tremors that earthquakes bring and things and buildings and things like that. Jesus is talking about particular language. He's talking apocalyptic language, which actually means something that was hidden to be revealed. So, of course, he's revealing about the Son of God and the Son of Man coming at the second coming. And we know that that's our faith. We say Christ has died, Christ is risen, and Christ will come again. So he has died. We celebrate that annually, and he has risen on that Easter liturgy. It celebrates that. But we're in that moment of waiting for him to come again. And so that's what we're hearing today, Jesus telling us all this weird and funny language. Notice he says that these things will take place before this generation passes away. So the scholars aren't sure about that, whether he means the Jewish race. Until the Jewish race have passed, then these things will happen. Or definitely it had already happened, because he speaks about the destruction of Jerusalem, their great temple, their great identity, and that happened how many years? 40 years after he died, Jesus. So there was that destruction, there was the abomination, and the whole lives are based around the temple. So it was a bit like stars falling out of the sky and their lights and things like that. I've heard it about, not my own words, but by Bishop Robert Barron, this tele-evangelist. You might have known him on YouTube channels and things like that. The co-producer of EWTN with Mother Angelica many years ago. And Barron, the bishop, talked about these lights, and the sun and the moon. Back in the day, for the ancient people, they were points of navigation. So, to be able to find their way through a direction, they look at the stars and the stars and the moon and things like that. So we can't really understand that language because we have our GPS, good old GPS that gets us around. But for them, it was like the GPS. That was their way of navigating and getting around. So for Jesus to use that language of the moon, showing no shadow and all that, it would have been, amazing language for them. Like, oh my gosh, I'll lose my direction. I won't be able to find my way. The whole world will be falling apart. I'm a bit like that when it comes to GPS. I go through that Sydney tunnel on the way to the city and the GPS is lost and, oh my God, it's the end of the world. How do I get out of this place? Where do I go now? We know what it's like to be out of range of our internet, and we know what it's like, when those damn internet's not working. We growl at the internet. I can't send my email. I can't Google. I can't use the internet. We're so caught up. So it's that kind of language. Imagine, and we have had that explanation given to us back in, remember 2000, we had the old millennial bug showing itself up, saying the computer programmers were telling us, year 2000, the computers won't recognise that, so your computers will be crashing and it's the end of the world. And we all went out buying our groceries and filling up our pantries because we thought, oh my goodness, are we going to live beyond 2000? Well, here we are 21 years later, and the millennial bug hasn't got us yet. So we know what it's like to live in a technological world and, losing navigation. That's what Jesus is talking about with these ancients. But notice it says, when these happen, then the Son of Man will appear on the clouds of great glory. And that's happened. If you read the scriptures, we're told that when Jesus died on the cross, the sun was darkened. There was darkness all over the world because the king had died. And then when he rose again, that was like descriptive language. It was saying he would risen again on the power of clouds of heaven. So it's happened actually before that generation passed, before those people who heard him had spoken. But he speaks about another coming. And perhaps more closer to home, Jesus is probably saying to us, watch out for yourself too. Just as much we don't know that day or the hour, people are very good at trying to speculate when it is. How many of us get emails and things like that to our inbox saying, this is the new fad about what day and what year Jesus will come again, or the end of the world. We just dismiss it, delete it, because even Jesus doesn't know. So how can others speculate unless they know more than Jesus? And I don't think we know any more than Jesus, the Son of God. But Jesus talks about our imminent death. We don't know the day or hour when we will die. Life is short, and perhaps people over this year that you would never thought have passed away. Sadly enough, you can think about people that have come across your path and think, wow, we began this year, we were together, and now they've gone. A very great sadness. So we just don't know. And Jesus is telling us to be careful, watch out. But also, I think, even more closer to home, when he talks about these things which are points of navigation or points to show us direction, even those things are taken from us in our own life. They might be, they create darkness, just like the stars falling from heaven. Imagine those stars. The sun going dark. Imagine no sun or moon. There's darkness, there's chaos. And we've been there too, haven't we? I'm sure you could tell me your own stories of where you felt you've been in a time of darkness and no way out, and how do I navigate myself? There's no stars, no GPS, no way out. How do I do this? But it's been your faith that has got you through. Because Jesus says in the gospel, when these things happen, then the Son of God will come and he will be very near. And you've known that in your own lives, in your very personal lives. Jesus has been very near to you in the most darkest moments, in the moments where you thought there was no way out, and I'm giving it all up, and it's all too much. Jesus has been near to you. So this is language that we use to remember the second coming, but also to be prepared. And it's good that we don't know the hour, because it means we need to be ready every day. Whether we pass away or Jesus comes again, one of those will happen. It's inevitable, but we need to be prepared and ready for that. But there's no need to fear. It sounds like scary language, but it's no need to fear, because in the second reading, we're told by the author of Hebrews that Jesus there is sitting. I like that image of Jesus sitting. Can I just show you? Imagine just Jesus here just sitting like this. Come on, Jesus, do something. But he's actually he's praying for us. He's done the work, he's died, and he's risen again, and now he's seated at the right hand of the Father, and he's praying for us. He's praying for you and me. And he's saying, come on, you guys can do it, you can do it. I was having a bit of a chuckle to myself watching you all come in and making sure your name was on the list. You're registered? Yes. Tick the box? Yes, yes. We heard in that first reading that all those who have their name on the list, the names written in the book of life, they're admitted because they've done the good deed. They've done the good thing. And the way the author talks about it is, those will be like bright stars for all eternity. So to bless you, because it's hard out there to be stars. It's hard out there to invite others into faith. It's hard to walk the journey when you're in the midst of darkness and things like that. But Jesus, he's near to you, and he's walking with you in this journey of life. And it's not over yet. I was going to say until the fat lady sings. But not over yet until Jesus says all the enemies have been put onto his footstool, and while that's happening, he's praying for all of us. So let's be encouraged that Jesus is alive and well, and he's not just sitting on the job, well, it looks like he is, but he's praying and wanting us to also be with him. So let's move into this time at the end of our liturgical year, moving into Christ the King celebration next year, as we wrap it all up this year, at the good, the bad and the ugly, whatever year it's been for you, we know that Christ is present and he's on the journey of faith with us. And it's a bit of a faith journey at times, just stepping out and you don't know where your foot's going to go. But just be strong and be encouraged, as Jesus says in the Gospel. Be watchful, be alert, be vigilant, pray and seek God. Our names are written in the book of heaven. We don't have to register like Mass here. It's already there because Jesus has done the deed by his dying and rising, and he's there for us. And he's there for us to stay. He won't go away unless we tell him, but he will stay with us forever.